Joe Larson and Chuck Schultz. You're watching the 5-Off 5-On Racing Show. Tonight's show, we're going to talk about the SRX series, the new series started by Tony Stewart. They've had 2 events in, and we'll talk about how that went and how you feel about that. We're also going to talk about an injury or crash that occurred at a local short track in Indiana, Anderson Speedway, and safety. And, of course, we have the results out of Nashville when we come back.
Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. The Cup Series and the Truck Series were at the Nashville Speedway in Nashville, Tennessee this past weekend. It's been like forever since NASCAR's been there for such a big event, and we have the results of that event and some stories that go along with that. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about who's going to come up first. Yes, the NASCAR Cup Series. Kyle Larson, the guy has been just tearing it up lately.
He's been on fire, yeah.
On fire. A lot of people think that the Hendrick cars are getting special privileges, and we're going to show a little bit later in the show that they're not. So Kyle Larson was the winner. Ross Chastain was second. William Byron was third, followed by Eric Almirola. Fifth was Kevin Harvick. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was sixth. Daniel Suarez, seventh. Kurt Busch, eighth. Christopher Bell, ninth. And Joey Logano rounding out the top 10. Fast racetrack. Very fast racetrack.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the top series hasn't gone there earlier.
Well, he's been doing it a while, and I'm surprised he hasn't had a little bit better luck. But
Yeah.
he's starting to get hot now. So that's for sure.
But it's just an interesting. And I said, you think the Hendrick cars are getting all this favoritism, because they're finishing 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 5. They never really have a problem. Well, this weekend at the Nashville Speedway, Chase Elliott was DQ'd. You rarely see DQs at this level.
Right.
He was DQ'd. He actually finished 13th, but post-race inspection had him with 5 loose lug nuts.
Really?
He was relegated to last, to 39th.
How did they not get those? All 5 of them?
All 5.
On the same tire?
Well, NASCAR's not saying that.
Okay.
So
Because, that would not have been
If you
good.
had 5 loose lug nuts and you're only putting on 5, you
Yeah.
got a bigger problem than 5 loose lug nuts.
Exactly.
You'll be backed into the fence. But
Yeah.
he lost all stage points, and he walked away that weekend with 1 point.
Wow.
And,
That's a big deal.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow what fines will be assessed, because there will be fines. NASCAR is usually.
But now isn't that still, it's not like, but isn't that like a stop and go penalty?
Post-race, if it's 1 lug, it's just, you get fined. So you take that $50,000 fine that they normally give out for that, multiply that by 5, and
Okay, and that's what
it's
another
$250,000.
So it becomes a
if
big
that's the
deal
case.
now. So
Yeah. Crew chiefs.
So if it's during the race, then it would just be a stop and
Right,
go.
yeah,
or
you got to
something.
come in and fix it.
Stop it, and fix it. Yeah.
And I can remember back in my pit road officiating days, it's you don't know, you're going by hearing, and for those who watch races, work pit road, we're on pit road.
You listen to how
you
long
got
they
that
were on
a lot quicker.
Right.
And then you might hear one that goes whoot. And
It's a
so
little-
in your
it's a little
head,
you know you got a loose one.
out of safety, you got, as an official, call up to the tower,
And say-
car number 9, loose lug. They come in, they got to
Right.
fix it.
Yeah.
If you as an official are wrong in your assessment, too bad, so sad, because
Yeah.
officials aren't normally wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
You feel bad if you make that call and
Yeah,
you're
of course.
wrong,
But
if you let
it's
it go,
it's a safety issue.
you let it go.
Because
then-
what could happen, like
The guy backs it into
even
the
on a
fence.
short track.
Yeah, so everybody thinks the Hendrick Motorsports is getting all kinds of favors They didn't get any.
They didn't get any favors this time.
Any favors that time. So I feel bad, but they did know the team, Chase Elliott was calling in, I got a vibration. They thought it was, they checked everything, and nobody thought to check the lug nuts.
Nobody thought to check the lug nuts, the most important part of the whole thing.
Usually that,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's the first thing that you would
That's
check.
the first thing you would check, yeah.
I would, and I'm not a mechanic.
I had that problem when I started racing. We wound up with a loose tire. It didn't come off, but it was loose enough where I felt the vibration, something wasn't right. I came in, and that's before we had the air guns. We were out there with the star wrench, spinning it on there. And we didn't get it tight, and we should have hit it with a Torx wrench just to check before we went out. It wasn't like in the middle of the race; it was before the race. You know what I mean? So I wound up screwing up a whole rim for that, which at that time that was big money for me. Yeah. When I started.
Oh yeah.
Missing screwing up a brand new rim. So.
Yeah. So it's I don't want to say that it's a shame, but it's a shame.
It is a shame that because that's a very simple mistake.
Right.
That could have been fixed, could have been taken care of, could have been righted.
Absolutely.
It'd be, not happen in the first place.
And you're the defending champion, so you have the best of the best, crew members, equipment, everything. So a mistake like that should not happen.
That's a big mistake. Yeah.
In my opinion, but who am I? My opinion don't seem to count. Oh, there we are. So anyway, the other series I was there, we have the truck series right at Nashville. New England, the Connecticut's own Ryan Preece taking down the win in his first truck series win. Congratulations to Ryan. Ryan is running the Nascar Whelen Modified Tour. He in a family car. He's kind of worked his way up. He does race in the Cup Series and does okay. But
he's dabbling right now.
Yeah. So he got his first win in the truck. So congratulations to Ryan Preece. Second was Todd Gilliland. Grant Enfinger was third. Zane Smith was fourth. Stu Friesen was fifth. Matt Crafton was sixth. Ben Rhodes seventh. Ty Majeski was eighth. Austin Hill ninth. And rounding out the top 10 was John Hunter Nemechek. Like to see them go back there next year, and I'm sure they will. They put on a good show there. Yeah. And the track is fast. It's a fast racetrack. And Ryan Preece, I remember when he started in NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour some 15 years ago. Just a kid driving the family car. And not that I'm a talent scout, but you could tell that the guy had
something.
And I remember talking to him and multiple times and saying that, I think you'd have more success if you drove for somebody. Because it's hard to drive for dad. It's really hard to drive for dad.
Well, it's sometimes the family stuff is limited. What can they afford to put in there? And and then that's that big hill. And anything you do, that's that big hill. Yeah. Whether it's driving a race car or playing in a band or playing doing whatever you love to do, and then taking it to the next level where now it's kind of almost expected it's going to be treated as a business.
Right.
Because now, the things that you would have been like, let it go, no big deal, you're out there for fun. That fun goes away, and now it becomes more of a business, and it's not as fun as when it was just fun,
Exactly. And I can remember there was a night at the Stafford Motor Speedway where Ryan Preece battled his way to second with like 3 to go, whatnot, with Todd Szegedy, who went on that year to become the champion. And the white flag flew. They went into turn one, and Ryan did, what are you going to do when you're second? The white flag's flying. He got into Szegedy a little hard. Szegedy looped it, backed it into the fence. The white flag was out. Next thing is the checker. Ryan Preece crossed the line, and the tower calls that he's not the winner.
Rough riding.
And so he pulled down pit road, and I believe I had his car on pit road that day. And he just sat in the car. It was like the victory was there for him. He could taste it, he could smell it, he could feel it. And I just put my head in the window and I said, Ryan, don't let this bother you. You showed these people today, you're just a kid racing with these guys or racing forever, that you can compete with them. You're going to get your wins. And you know what? Keep your head on straight. You're going to end up in the top series someday. And he just stared at me like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then here he is in the top series, and he had come to Riverhead for a tour race, and him and I were talking, and he brought that up. He said, if you didn't come down to my car, I probably would have got out kicking and screaming, yelling at people, even though it was nobody's fault, my own. And he goes, for that 30 seconds, you calmed me down enough that I can get out and just walk to my hauler. And he got, I don't want to say he got lucky, his skill put him in the position where he is now, but he ended up driving for somebody who had a lot of money and wasn't afraid to spend it, make sure that they had the best equipment, the best cars, they ran speed weeks.
That was the luck right there.
Because
that's, unless you're putting in the top-notch equipment, then yeah.
Exactly.
It's going to be hard for you to compete.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are. Today the series are so tight that unless you've got top-notch stuff, it's very difficult.
Right, yeah.
And it really is kind of how much money how fast can you afford to go, I mean.
And Ryan Preece is, and I'm going to say, as we've talked about it all the time, you look at the kids in the top 3 series, and where did they come from? They came from Daddy's bank. Ryan Preece didn't come from Daddy's bank. Ryan Preece proved himself, got into some cars that weren't as competitive, made it work, kept moving up, to the point where somebody wants him to drive his truck. Hey, drive my truck. Nobody's coming up to me and saying, drive my truck.
Well, it's always been a good story, and it's always been a local Long Island story. I mean, you get the whole Steve Park thing was the same thing.
Yeah.
He was walking around handing out his business card, if you need somebody to drive for you, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got that fateful, I remember being at Jack Merkel's, and he comes in, he goes, somebody's pranking me. Yeah. And he was telling us, he was like, yeah, if somebody keeps leaving a freaking message on my cell phone, it's Dale Earnhardt, call me back.
Yeah. Here's my number, this is Dale Earnhardt.
So we finally get the last call, he's like, this is Dale Earnhardt, why are you not calling me back, what's going on? Yeah. And then it turned out he had he was looking for him.
And
who would know?
Who would know?
How would you know that? Somebody passed his card along or something?
Yeah. But when he drove that #1 Pennzoil car, he was competitive. And
yeah.
He didn't come with a big check from Daddy. He came, but that's how it was back in those days. It was raw talent that got you into the series, and you worked your way up.
Yeah.
Now I look at some of these guys that they're interviewing on the TV for the races.
They're so young.
I have sneakers older than them.
I know. It's crazy.
And you could tell they've been polished. You could tell they went to some kind of speaking school.
Mm-hmm. This is what you're going to say. This is how you're going to say it.
How you're going to say it. And, you remember back in the days listening
But again, that's, listening to Bill Elliott, it's like, what did he say?
Yeah.
Well, Ward Burton?
Well, Ward Burton, yeah.
And it's like, it was funny because Ward Burton is so much different than his brother.
Right.
It's like, did they grow up in the same house?
Same house, on the same farm.
On the same farm, but still, it's like, wow. But that was character.
It was.
You had that.
Yeah.
That was character.
Yeah.
But it's changed a lot. It's, again, it's that whole, all right, they went into the business thing, but now they're taking that business even more serious.
Yes.
Because there's not a lot of, back in the day, in every business, there was a lot of slop. You could get away with a little bit of this. Right. You could get away with a little bit of that.
Right.
Now it's so competitive on every little point that's involved in the sport that you can't.
Yeah.
And they keep pushing that boundary and making it harder and harder, for the guys that are starting out because, you got a lot of catching up to do. Unless you're buying into a team that's already got a lot of these things in place, boy, you're catching up.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're feeling your way.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I said this before, and I know we've got some car owners that are watching and stuff, but a lot of these people, it's, the competition side of it is probably 50 or maybe 60% of the business.
Right.
There's so much business involved in it.
Yeah.
The marketing people, just everything else that's involved in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's more of a business than it is. It's just it's the competition part of it is just a small part of it now.
Yeah.
Whereas it was 80 or 90% before, it's a lot less now.
Yeah, I mean, you go back years ago, and the way the schedule was laid out, and they were all coming out of the North Carolina, or at least 80%. So they did those tracks. Then they worked their way up the East Coast, upstate New York, Long Island, because they ran Islip in the 60s, Bridgehampton. Then they'd go up to Connecticut, run Thompson, run those tracks up there, shoot up to Maine. New Hampshire wasn't done then, it wasn't built. And then they'd shoot over to Michigan, then shoot down. It just, the way they went, and Riverside, California, then come down to the sun. They didn't go home. They didn't have jet planes.
They just kept going.
They loaded up the trailer to the truck.
Get the parts and keep going. They didn't have cars for every track. They had a car.
And Mrs. Petty would be making bologna sandwiches, feeding the Allison kids and hers.
Here's a bag of sandwiches.
Yeah.
Take this with you.
Take this sandwich, take a bag of chips. Here's something to drink. Leave me alone. Now,
it's a different story.
And I can remember.
You got people that are cooking, people that are catering and taking care of the crew. And all of that stuff is stuff that you don't see on the competition side.
No.
That's like there's like a whole other crew behind there taking care of all these other little things.
Yeah, and I
the hats, the shirts, the coats, the signings, the appearances, the sponsors, the marketing, the social media. There's just so much of it.
I remember as a kid at Ice Speedway when the Grand National cars came, which are the Cup cars of today. Bobby Allison pulls into the pits with an open trailer the day before. And his car is a mess. He ran some race in Jersey, the thing got destroyed. And he went to Big Bob O'Rourke and says, "There a junkyard nearby? I need parts." And he worked on his car all night long and finished first or second in the race, with a pieced together car.
Yeah.
And that same year, I remember he was running second. Him and Richard Petty had basically lapped the field. Now, for those who don't know, Ice Speedway was a fifth of a mile. And when they lined up the however many cars they started, at the green flag, you could be already being passed by the leader. And late in the race, there was a caution. Bobby Allison rolled up next to Richard Petty, and he went flat tire. Richard Petty pulls into the pits.
He didn't have a flat tire.
Bobby Allison goes on to win the race. So we're standing by where they had the post-race interview. There was no TV back then. It was just newspapers and stuff. And
what's a newspaper?
Yeah, and there's Maurice Petty standing like right there. And seething. And Bobby Allison walks out and he goes, "All right, thanks, fellas." He turns around and Maurice cold cocks him. And what you saw was red and blue uniforms against T-shirts and jeans rolling on the pavement. Mm-hmm. And that's what got me hooked. That's what got me hooked. Anyway.
Those were the days.
We're going to take a break, and we come back. We're going to talk about the new series formed by Tony Stewart, the SRX racing series that Tony Stewart has started. I was at the inaugural race at the Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut. We're going to talk about that. And they were at Knoxville this past weekend as well when we come back.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, what's up? Oh, I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of the regulars watching. We got John Visconti, right?
Yeah.
Team owner, right? And we got Dennis James, Chief of the Amarillo Fire Department, ex-chief.
Nice.
Kenny Hyde.
Kenny Hyde Jr. He rarely misses a show.
Right? Figure 8 driver, right?
Yeah. Marie Visconti,
Right.
one of my favorite people. So it's nice. Welcome, everybody.
And your buddy, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian's watching,
Yeah.
right?
There we go. Yeah, anyway. Hey, listen,
So some more results, right?
yeah, when we went on break, I realized that, I didn't realize, it was brought to my attention that I forgot two.
Because he's too busy talking.
Yeah, we're too busy talking. So let's go with the Xfinity series here. The Xfinity, Kyle Busch was the winner there, followed by Justin Allgaier. Harrison Burton was third, Josh Berry fourth, A.J. Allmendinger fifth, Brandon Jones sixth, Jeb Burton seventh, Noah Gragson eighth, Orton Hill ninth, and Riley Herbst rounding out the top 10. The NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour was on Long Island this past weekend. They had qualifying Saturday, and the rains came, and they ran Sunday. Doug Colby was the winner there. Patrick Emmerling second, Justin Bonsignor third, Ron Silk fourth, Anthony Nocella fifth, Tommy Catalano sixth, Kyle Soper seventh, John McKennedy eighth, Dillian Slepian ninth, and Tyler Rimka rounding out the top 10. So Doug Colby swept both NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour races here on Long Island.
Wow.
So it's good to see. Doug Colby, he's a car owner and a driver. He owns his own car. You don't see too many owner-operators anymore.
Well, because he lost his ride in the 52.
He lost his ride
And he had no choice to get a ride. He had to buy one.
yeah,
and
he
do
lost
it
a
himself.
ride after winning the championship.
I know.
You know, so
How crazy is that?
it's
But he's selling houses, so now he's got plenty of money.
yeah. You would think.
Well, the money, the market, the way it is now, I'm thinking he's doing all right.
There's Doug Colby, a real estate broker. Anyway, the SRX series was at the Stafford Motor Speedway, and the SRX series, for those who missed the opening, is a series formed by Tony Stewart. Not so much to go against NASCAR, but to go against NASCAR. There's the top three from the Stafford event. Doug Colby at the head of the podium, Greg Biffle finishing second, and Tony Stewart finishing third. I was at the event, and because I wanted to see what it was all about. And I'll tell you what, they do things a little differently. And if he's going to try to form a series, and I'm not saying to go against NASCAR, to put NASCAR out of business, because I don't think that'll ever happen. Only NASCAR can put NASCAR out of business. But some of the things that they did, it's kind of similar to the old IROC series they had years ago.
Well, they're using the old IROC cars, you said. So, I mean, that's...
Identically prepared cars.
Yeah.
The motors are a short wheelbase with a 396 cubic inch motor at 700 horsepower. Those things were flying. Now, I believe it was 14 cars started the event. And some of but at the Stafford Motor Speedway, we had the local, each event will have a local driver. At the Stafford one, representing the Stafford Motor Speedway is Doug Colby. We had Greg Biffle from the NASCAR series. NASCAR, he ran in Cup, Xfinity, and Truck. In Xfinity and Truck, he was the champion on occasion in the past. Tony Stewart, he's from NASCAR, a three-time Cup champion. Marco Andretti is an Indy driver, son of Michael Andretti and grandson of Mario Andretti. Michael Waltrip from NASCAR, two-time Daytona 500 champion. Ernie Francis Jr. is a Trans Am Series driver, a seven-time champion in the Trans Am Series. Bobby Labonte, NASCAR Cup champion in 2000. Helio Castroneves won the Indianapolis 500 4 times. Also the winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Tony Kanaan, Indy, Le Mans winner. Bill Elliott, the NASCAR's 1988 Cup champion, father of Chase Elliott, and holds the speed record at the Talladega Motor Speedway at 212 miles per hour. Paul Tracy is a 2003 kart champion, which is a spin-off from Indy back in the day.
Right.
And Willie T. Ribbs, who's run multiple series and competition. He actually drove for Jack Roush on the Cup and the Xfinity Series.
Back in the day.
Back in the day,
Old
Truck
school,
Series.
Willie T. Ribs.
He's been around. He now is a skeet shooter. That's what he does for a competition. The picture that you see on the screen, that is the inaugural
Race.
race and drivers at the Stafford Motor Speedway. When I was talking to you earlier, there wasn't an empty seat in the House. The governor had lifted COVID restrictions. You were shoulder to shoulder, knees in your back. But you really didn't need to sit because most of the race was exciting enough that people were standing.
Yeah.
And the format
That's interesting to see. I mean, with the
Yeah.
old school guys and the
Yep.
newer guys, and it's very much it's an IROC series.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's pulling from all the different series. You know, it's kind of cool.
What they did is like I said, they had the 14 cars. The initial qualifying heat race was a hat pull. Okay, okay, number 4, you're all right, whatever.
Right.
And they line up and they ran, and the heat races were timed, not each individual driver time, but the green flag dropped, stopwatch goes,
You got 15 minutes to do what you
15
got to do.
minutes. I guess the tower calls down and says we got 14 minutes and 42 seconds. So the next flag is the checker. So they drop the checker.
So that's it. No, it
That's
doesn't
it.
matter how many laps. Boom,
Oh,
done.
And then the field is inverted, and they're allowed to pit. They cannot change tires. They can move the right front to the right rear, left front, left rear, and they could swap sides, but they cannot switch
Change tires.
They cannot change that. They could just switch the position.
Right.
And the field is inverted. Another 15 minutes. That finish determines your start in the 100-lap
Main
main
event.
event. And the first heat race, once they shuffled out one single file, I'm sitting back and I'm like, Kobe's not going, Waltrip's not going, this guy's not going, Tony Stewart's not going. They're just in the line. It's like they're saving tires.
They're following, yeah.
And the second heat race, it was like a short track bull ring heat race. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, everybody's qualified. Whether you finish first or last is the same payout. But they put on a
Really
nice
good show. And then Tony Stewart's got to fix the cars.
Yeah, and Biff, Biff wrecked. He wrecked in the first race. That they tried to fix it in that 15 minutes and plus the break in between, and they could not. And they went back into the garage area and came out with a backup car. And the only thing they had to change was they have seat inserts. Each driver has his own seat that goes, not seat, but insert that goes
In the seat
into
itself.
the seat.
So they all have the same seat, and they all have their
Everything.
own personal insert that fits in the
Insert.
seat that
Right.
fits and forms around them.
Right.
So it makes it perfect that they don't have to change seats in the car.
Right.
They can do this pretty quick
With the
and
insert.
still keep it safe.
So you look at a Marco Andretti, who's a short guy, and a Michael Waltrip, who's 6'7".
It's a tall guy.
So you know Andretti's insert is thicker, and Waltrip's is thinner. So in case he has to go in. So Biff gets in the backup car, starts in the back of the pack, and he worked his way to second place and finished. And the way that
In a backup car that was.
in the backup car.
And they're all identically prepared.
And they're all identical. And
Really, all you're doing is changing tires, and the tires are the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Because every tire is kind of different.
And the tires are exactly the same for everybody, and there's not too much you could do to these
Well, a
cars.
stagger on them, you can change the stagger based
Sure,
on the
it's
size
just
of
with
the
air-
tire.
yeah, with the air
With some
pressure.
air and stuff. I mean, what are you going to do?
You can't make any adjustments. You can't turn anything.
No twisting, no turning.
You
put the
this is
here's
your shock. you
Right,
know.
here's your air gun. Put some
There
air
you
in it,
go.
take some air out.
And when they did pit in the race, they all pitted at pit stall 1, because that's where Ray Everham, who was a co-founder of this series, is to fix the cars or do whatever. And the cars were designed to take a beating. They're designed. I'm looking at the cars and I'm like, these could be like figure eight cars. They're so solid.
There's no damage.
There's no the sheet metal, yeah, but the rear bumpers were designed, from what I can see, to fold up, so that when they put it in the pit, I guess they put a come along on it and just tucked it back down. It was just interesting to watch the pit stops, and it was just interesting all the way around. So the inaugural race at the Stafford Motor Speedway, local Doug Colby, NASCAR Wheel and Modified 6-time champion, was the winner there, followed by Greg Biffle. Tony Stewart was third, Marco Andretti fourth, Michael Waltrip fifth, Ernie Francis Jr. 6th, Bobby Labonte 7th, Helio Castroneves 8th, Tony Kanaan 9th, Bill Elliott 10th, Paul Tracy 11th, and Willie T. Ribbs rounding out the top 10. And actually, that's the whole finish. Now, what you had there was the Indy guys in pre-race interviews were like, these stock car drivers beat and bang and push and shove, we're learning in practice.
They're not used to that.
We don't do that in our series.
They can't do that in their series.
So, but it was a little interesting listening to the feedback. And then even like Willie T. Ribbs, he's driven everything, with the ambulance, and I'm sure he took rides in it. And he said, they're saying, I'm not used to this stuff. And, and he's up in ages too.
Well, they were all out there having a blast. I'm sure this is coming because Staff is a small little bull ring.
They were.
Compared to what they used to. So they were out there. This is like playing in somebody's backyard to them.
Oh, yeah. And from what I understand, each driver that competes, they're on a weekly salary of $15,000 a week. The series sponsors, you got the Camping World stores are sponsoring, Edelbrock. It's all put together, it looks like, with sponsorship money. And this was in Ray Heavenham, talking with him, they've worked on this for a year and a half. This isn't something that they decided in the winter, let's try this.
Yeah, no, this is something in the works. And Ray's from that area anyway.
Yeah, he's
a Northeast guy.
He's a Northeast guy. Spent a lot of his time at the Wall Township Speedway in Wall, New Jersey. And Tony Stewart, he's another. He's driven dirt, he's driven Indy, he's driven NASCAR.
He's got his own track.
He's got his own track. He owns 2 cars on the Cup Series.
Cup Series teams.
And I know he does not get along with NASCAR. From day one of him being in NASCAR, he pushed the envelope. And I remember when the Hans device came out and became mandatory, he didn't want to wear one. He just had, it's like the old school drivers when they came out with the full face helmet.
Yeah.
They did. It's cutting off my vision. I can't see that. Dale Earnhardt, the late Dale Earnhardt Sr., was the last guy to have an open face helmet. Mm-hmm. And he was told.
And the big bug eye glasses.
Yeah, and he was told, you run what we tell you, it's in the rules. So he shows up to go to practice wearing just his Hans device. Series director says, what are you doing? Because I'm just following your direction. You said I have to use this because it's in the rules. And he goes, and I've been going through the rule book all night long, and I don't see anything that says I have to have a helmet. He was just trying to make a point. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, at the time, he lost the battle, and he paid for it behind the scenes, so to speak, because if you're going to break their chops in any series, in any racing series, at any racetrack, you're not getting anything in the gray, and they're going to look to break your shoes, and then broke your shoes.
That's all part of it, right?
So it's. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to the next 4 races or whatnot, and to see how that goes down. But
and they're televised, right?
And they're televised
on CBS.
On CBS, yeah. And they show the whole thing, the qualifying, the 100-lap feature, and everything. Now, this past weekend, Father's Day, this SRX series was at the Knoxville Speedway in Kentucky, and Tony Stewart was the winner there, followed by Haley Deegan. She's one of the original 19, because not every driver can go to every event because of other commitments.
Right.
Ernie Francis Jr. was 3rd, Helio Castroneves 4th, Michael Waltrip 5th, Bobby Labonte 6th, Marco Andretti 7th, Brian Brown 8th, Scott Bloomquist was 9th, Willie T. Ribbs 10th, Bill Elliott 11th, and Paul Tracy rounding out the top 10. Like I said earlier, these cars are equipped with a 396 cubic inch V8, would push out 700 horsepower, short wheelbase cars. I'm looking forward to see these things run at Eldora.
What are they, like 108 or something?
What they what?
Are they like 108 on a wheelbase?
Yeah, I believe it's 104
They're not-
actually.
They're actually 104 like a Firebird?
It looks so. So they had their 2 races. They had Stafford and they had the Knoxville. The next weekend or this upcoming weekend, they'll be at Eldora. And then the following weekend, the Lucas Oil Speedway. Then they'll be at Slinger Speedway in Wisconsin on July 10th. And then they'll end their season at the Nashville Fairgrounds, Nashville Fairgrounds on July 17th. So
They must turn well with a 104.
Oh, man. My figure 8 car, my first figure 8 car, well, my second one was a 104 wheelbase.
Was it?
And
That's like a Camaro and a Firebird.
yeah, it was a Mustang 2-body with a Camaro front clip and 2x4 rail going all the way back. And the thing turned on a dime. And it was fun to deal with and race. I miss those days. They were fun. But it'd be interesting, check it out. You get a chance and watch them on TV. I'm sure you could, go into on demand and stream the past races. So, not that I'm trying to give, free advertising to CBS.
I don't think you can get it free, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so
You can try it.
We can try it.
Let us know how you make out.
Absolutely. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about safety again, because another incident happened at a local short track in the Midwest, and we're going to talk about cutting corners and what that could do to you when you come back.
Hey guys, this is Jibs from Ocean's 8 Alaska, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian. We're PALAYE ROYALE, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Hi, this is Mike Jawrecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV Network.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, Village Music Shop. You can take virtual lessons with Village Music Shop's online university. They have lessons for all ages, styles, and levels, from beginner to advanced, as well as classes to become a recording engineer, music production, and learning how to be a DJ. So Village Music Shop's online university has got you covered. Give them a call at 1-800-HEY-DUDE or click on the link in the chat to get started today. Be safe, have fun, play some music.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget, happy Father's Day out there to
To all you fathers.
all your fathers.
Hey, it doesn't have the same thing when I say to all your mothers. Though.
Yeah.
It doesn't do the same thing to all mothers, right?
And also a happy Father's Day to the moms who are doing mom and dad that don't have a husband there.
Right, single moms that
So
are
the single
playing
moms out there,
the
happy
dad.
Father's Day to you too. Don't want to forget those people. Before we talk about this, I want to do a little shout out to my son-in-law, Vinny Delaney, who garnered his first crate modified win here on Long Island this past weekend on Father's Day. So congratulations,
Nice.
Vin. There's more coming. There's more coming. So it's funny. My son-in-law drove legend cars, was a champion, a lot of wins, and he decided to go into the modifieds.
Right.
And no matter where you race modifieds, it's expensive, it's costly, it's tough, especially on a short track. And he decided, let's go to the crate modifieds. And I guess here on Long Island, that's the equivalent of an SK up in Connecticut or the Sunoco modifieds that used to run at Thompson. But
Right.
there's a bunch of them here on Long Island, and qualifying sometimes is hard. And then they go out and win the races. So again,
How many do they get over there now? How many are they getting?
in the 20s.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
in the 20s. So, it's like the old days. Remember when you were running Chargers?
Right. Well, it's charges without a body, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And, it's a crate motor, so it's abide by the racetrack. So,
But still rack and pinion.
yeah,
It's a modified chassis.
yeah.
Smaller tires. Different
Smaller
motor,
tires.
Different motor.
I believe it's an 8-inch tire as
8-inch
opposed
tire,
to the 10 or a 12. I'm not sure what they even run anymore.
Right.
But it's pretty cool. When I saw that he won, so that was a nice little Father's Day
Yeah.
gift from my son-in-law. So
That's
thank
always
you.
nice.
Thank you. But safety, we've always talked safety here.
Most important thing when you're doing something, you got to come back to the family. You got to come home safe.
You got to go to work Monday. You got a wife and kids, or a husband and kids,
You don't want to get hurt.
yeah, or a mom and dad, and a brother and sister. So I always said you never chintz on safety. Well, there's a little quarter-mile bull ring out in Anderson, Indiana, called Anderson Speedway. This car, and you can see the fire in the cockpit. What happened is this driver was badly burned as the car exploded at the Anderson Speedway in Indiana. Ricky Craig was the driver. He ran over debris on the track. It punctured his fuel cell.
I was going to say, yeah.
He was not wearing gloves. He had not the best fire suit. And he was one of those guys that...
I know this story.
This is what they do, some of these guys, because it's hot. They roll up their sleeves. They roll up their sleeves and they're driving. Because his second and third degree burns to his hands, arms, and sides of his body, as well as breathing in flames. His lungs were burned, and suffering the effects of the fire extinguisher gases. It was so bad that they put this sheet up so nobody could see.
I
We can
remember
go
this.
back to the picture that the car's fully engulfed. You see people that went to save him got second and third degree burns as well, which tells me the track crew was not properly equipped with safety gear.
Fire suit
And
and-
unfortunately, a lot of track crews, they're out there with their grease-stained blue jeans, their work shoes, and a
Sneakers.
yeah,
That
and a
melt to their
T-shirt
feet.
that has silk screen down the back. Track crew. They should be in fire protective gear.
If they're going to do that job, they got to be ready to go.
And I've watched.
And you know what? If you go into a car that's on fire, what's the first thing you take with you?
I'm thinking you need to bring the extinguisher.
Absolutely. First thing, you can't get in there if there's fire. You got to get it out.
Because this is what I've seen, and whether it's a flip into the wall, a fire, whatever. Here's the track crew guys. They all got to run to the scene. And they
they stand
assess
there
the
and look.
situation and they stare. The
You gotta-
tracks
gotta
should
help.
have meetings with their safety crew. They should be equipped with the proper equipment, and they should say, if this is the scenario, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And if it's this the scenario, you do this, you do this. Don't just run up to it to try to get the driver out. And we had an incident that we showed.
Because you can't.
Right, we showed a few months ago.
If it's a bad enough accident, they got to be taken out on a backboard. You got to,
We
the
showed this
cervical
one
spine
guy.
and the whole
car
deal.
was
You got to.
engulfed in flames, but he had the proper equipment. He stood up in the flames and rose out of the demolished race car like a phoenix.
Right.
But this guy is messed up and
do we know what kind of fire bottle he had in that car?
The fire bottle?
I mean, I always had a fire bottle,
Nobody's
5-pound bottle. I always had one of
Yep.
the heads on me. I had one of the heads on me. I had the other head on that fuel cell.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to happen, that's where it's going to happen.
Right.
And I pull that T-handle, man. It's coming on me. It's going on that fuel cell, and
Yeah.
I'm going to stop this thing and get out.
Yep. I was only involved.
I mean, I don't know if you remember the fire when I was racing with Buzzy Erickson. Remember
Yes.
that fire?
Oh,
That
yeah.
was very similar to what you're talking about right there.
I have a picture of that in my home of that one because I remember.
That was a big deal. You could see that way
Yes.
back in the pits, and we weren't way back in the pits. We were right in the front, and you looked up and you saw a wall of fire, and it's like, what's going on?
And it's kind of interesting because I was officiating that race, and that race started after turn 4 on the straightaway, that explosion and whatnot, and I felt the heat behind the pit wall where I was officiating from.
And he wound up stopping on right between turn 3 and 4 there.
Yep, it was bad. So, guys, gals.
You can't scrimp with that, man. That's
some of you are
number
gonna
one.
say-
And that's something that's going to be very hard for this guy to come back from.
Yes, yeah.
That's very hard to come back from.
Definitely hard to come back from.
I mean, the most important thing you want to do in a fire like that is knock that thing down, stop that car, and get the hell out.
Yep, and with the right accelerant, the right extinguisher to do that.
Oh yeah, that halon extinguisher I had, boy, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen,
Was that halon? I believe it was halon.
what track was I at? It's no longer in existence in Pennsylvania. Penske owned it, then sold to Nascar. Nazareth. Here I am at Nazareth. I'm the race director. I'm up in the tower. There's a wreck in the backstretch, and it turns out to be fire. And they had, some drivers wore that Hans device, the new Hans device, but some drivers wore that Hutchinson device that had all these clips and stuff clipped on. And when they went to pull the driver out, one of the clips caught onto something, a piece of metal, and they couldn't get him out ready. I mean, thank God they did, and he wasn't burned. But I'm looking at pictures like the next day that people were posting, and they were there. There's a gas fire with water. You're an ex-captain, fire department. You don't put out a gas fire with water.
No. And
all they did was spread the fire.
Yeah, and Bill Batch is saying, good thing your car didn't go up when you were stuck in it.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's one of the things, and I'll tell you, and you bring up a good point there, Bill, and so did Joe before, and you know what, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this, and yeah, I'm a captain in the fire department, and I know we got, Dennis James watching as well, an ex-chief, and these guys that do this heavy rescue stuff, man, we have competitions to see how fast they can get that roof off.
Yep.
A lot of these guys that go to these tracks are these track crew guys with the T-shirt that say track crew on the back of them. They're getting $40 a night, and they're doing it because they get into the track for free.
Yeah, if that.
They get into the track for free. Yep. They get $40 to buy pretzels and hot dogs and what have you, and it's a night out for them.
Yeah.
So they're not trained in any of this.
No, they're not.
If you had guys in there that were trained in heavy rescue, they could have that thing cut off of there and have you out in, I'm telling you, 10 minutes you'd be out of there. Especially with a race car, that roof would be out of there. You'd be out of there in 10 minutes. All they got to do is cut that roof off of there and bring you right out. You'd be out in 10 minutes.
And I was involved in a racing incident where my race car went on fire. And I can remember I was going down a straightaway, and when you turn your gas grill on, and how many people stand back and they go take the match,
and you feel that instant heat,
and they throw it in, and you hear that woof. All right, it's lit up. Let's get it hot. And I'm coming off the corner. I'm going down the straightaway, and I hear that noise, and all of a sudden, the whole front end of the car is in flames, and I'm like, this is not good. And I threw it in neutral, and I'm trying to turn it into the dirt area to where the track crew people are with the fire extinguishers. And I had a decent fire suit, and I didn't have the best of the best like I have now, but I had a darn good fire suit, and I realized my leg was getting hot. And I remember when I went to put it in neutral so I could just coast and unbuckle and get it out of the way, I looked down, my shifter boot, which was SFI approved,
Had melted.
it didn't exist. And the flames are coming through the shifter. Now I get out, and as I get out of the car, because you know you do this thing and you get one leg out, and my other leg it's smoldering. And I have it on video, and I'm hitting the leg, I'm hitting it, and then they came over and they shot me with the chemical, and I was like, whoa. And what happened ultimately is a valve cover gasket failed. The engine's hot. Where's the oil gonna go?
To the manifold.
To the
And
manifold.
you got a fire going.
And the headers.
Yeah.
And it was like lighting a gas grill. Everything, when I got it to the shop the next day, my distributor melted, my wires are all melted, not to mention all the other damage that was done from fire.
Yeah.
So,
It doesn't take a long time.
no.
It does not.
No, it does not.
And it's when when everything is that hot, boy, it doesn't take a lot to get it going.
No, exactly. And sometimes just, especially with oil will ignite with just heat at the right temperature. You know, and how many people at home have had, you know, they're cooking bacon and whatever, and they forgot, and the grease starts burning, or the grease in the catch can,
Under the barbecue or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, when you have that happen.
You know, we've all
Next
had
thing you know,
that.
you got a fire coming from under the barbecue. Yeah, I mean, it happens. So
Yeah, it's happened. So we're going to say this again. Drivers,
the first thing you should spend your money on is not the motor.
no. And if you don't have, and I've had people say to me when I say, I look at these fire suits and they look like the onesies that babies wear.
That was my first one. I bought it for
Right?
$99.
Yeah. And
Remember ATV?
oh yeah.
Yeah, I bought it from
Auto truck van.
Yeah, it came in a box.
My first fire suit
Came in a box.
came from a place called Ridge Runner in Patchogue, Long Island. I don't think I paid $99 for it. And it had this funny smell to it. And
So it was like one of those. Nomex suits that they wear for to paint the house.
yeah. Then I washed it, and it got really nice and soft, like blue jeans, you know. And what I didn't realize is I washed the fire retardant stuff right out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, compared to the fire suit I have now, which that suit was...
It's heavy.
It's like, it's a double layer, and
Yeah, mine's a 3-layer and it's big.
it cost me like $3,000 by the time it was all done. And I had the Carbonex inner liner. And I can remember racing, and it's 95 degrees, and everybody is trying to do this in their T-shirts and rolling up their sleeves and spraying. I'm zippering this thing up because I'm feeling comfortable, because the Carbonex and the sweat, it absorbed the sweat into the suit, and then the Carbonex cooled me off. And when Gene at ASI was selling me on this, let's line it with Carbonex. Is that going to save me in fire? No, it's going to keep you cool on hot days. And he wasn't kidding. And I've had that fire suit a long time. And I did exactly what he told me to do in care and wear and cleaning. And it looks just as good as it did when I first bought it.
That be said, don't be the first thing you spend your money on, the safety stuff.
Right.
But the first thing you should put your money away for is the safety stuff.
Right.
Because you got to remember a couple of things. Your fuel cells, your helmets, your fire suits, your gloves, your underwear and your boots, they all have a date on them.
Yeah.
So after a while, after so many wears, so many washings, they're pretty much junk. I got a brand new
Exactly.
helmet I might have wore once, and just because now that's outdated, you can't even use it. Won't even qualify.
Right. Yeah, it's just one of those things, and I can't stress this enough. You know, and I remember walking up to a guy at a local racetrack, and he had, not only was his fire suit inexpensive, and I'm going to say cheap, his fire suit was at one time white or light colored. It was full of grease stains. It's like, you know, he's changing the gears in the quick change, and he's got the gear oil, and he's like this, wiping his hands off.
That's not good either.
That thing goes on fire. It's not a fireproof fire suit anymore. It's a welcome to fire suit.
Yeah, but now you get a spark where it would normally just shed off.
Right.
It's going to go on
It's
fire
gonna go
because
on
you've
fire.
got something that's getting into the material.
Well, the holes, the ones you walk around, their fire suits are ripped. If you can't afford, and I'm going to say this, if you can't afford to
Safety
have
equipment.
a fire, you don't have to have a $5,000 fire suit, but you have to have one that's going to do the job. And the one that's ripped and grease stained is not doing the job.
You can't afford the race.
So you might want to stay home until you could get a fire suit, or better yet, there's a lot of the higher division guys at the local tracks who have the embroidered nice suits, whatever, and then they get a new sponsor next year. That other suit is perfect, but they have a new sponsor. I'm sure they'll sell it to you, if not give it to you. Here, kid, wear this one.
Yeah.
I've
And last but not least, don't take it upon yourself to be crawling under the car in the fire suit.
Right.
Dragging it across the blacktop.
Yep.
Welding, getting little welding holes in the fire suit.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we've seen this before.
I had a designer of fire suits talk to me. We were at a trade show, the owners of Design 500. They build fire suits. So when I say build, they're custom built to that person. And one of the things we were talking about is what they had on display were only one-piece suits. I said, you don't have any two-piece suits? Don't want to touch them.
It's kind of pointless.
So I said to him, why? He goes, okay, let's have a demonstration. You're going to put the bottom part on, pull them up, take the little Velcro, get it as tight as you can. You put the jacket thing on, you zip it up, your back's wide open. So you get a fire back there, the heat is going to open that up. And I'm not a chemist and I'm not an engineer, but the heat, just from the heat, because you're going to take your belts and lean forward, now you've just opened up another path for the fire to go up your back. And I'm willing to bet any amount of money, 90% of the drivers in the lesser divisions are not wearing the fireproof underwear.
Yeah.
So what are you going to have?
Because it's 1,000 degrees in the car, so
Yeah.
why would you?
And so now you're going to have second, third degree burns up your back, your neck. Come on, guys. Use your heads.
It's 90 degrees out. You're going to get in a car that's going to run 150, 200 degrees.
Yeah.
You got the headers right there that's lighting up that floorboard, making that thing hot.
Yes.
So now you're going to put long underwear on. You're going to put a one-piece fire suit on, which is not letting any cool air in. That's the purpose of it. You're going to put on gloves. You're going to put on boots. Everything's tight, so there's no skin showing. You're going to put the helmet on. It's a full-face helmet.
Yeah.
It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. Definitely. And I know when my daughter raced, the heat bothered her, and we got her what they call the Camelback. Well, it was attached to the seat, filled with cold water, with a tube hanging, and she needed a little drink on the cushion.
Right. You do the Camelback, yeah.
So
We had sports bottles. Same idea, though.
yeah, I tried that. I had a like that cold thermos that you have, the plastic ones, and I'm racing, and we're under caution. I'm like, the sweats, I could feel the sweats in my eyes. I reach over, and I get my bottle, I pop the top. It was like drinking tea.
It was hot.
It was hot.
Yeah.
So that took me a long time to learn. Anyway.
We had ones with big hoses on them.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to just have some race chat, take a look at some of the things that people are saying. And yes, Bill Batch, Tony Siscone did become a spokesman for fire suits after he was burned. And a lot of what he said made a lot of sense. And the fire suits were altered from what he said as a user rep. Got more to talk about when we come back.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Willie. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, we get punched in the
But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
What's up, guys? This is Assuming We Survive, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey,
So we yelled at you enough about the safety stuff.
yeah, and we, kicked into like the fourth segment, so there's only like a minute and a half or 2 minutes left. So, it's good to be back in the seat in front of the
Happy
cameras.
Father's Day again,
Again,
to everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
And be safe. That's the important part of
Yeah.
what we're living with in this world right now.
And while I got a chance, I'm going to promote myself here a little bit. For those who know me, know that I do acting, and a movie I was in that we filmed most of 2021 and part of 2020. We had our premiere on this Saturday. Me Familiar 2. I play a bodyguard, and it's on Netflix and Amazon Prime on demand. So check us out. Check us out. Check me out. And I got to thank my people here at 505 On for letting me miss some shows to go to the set and record and film. So it was fun to be in, and watching it was even different because you're there for 9 hours and the scene is like 4 minutes in the film. So check it out. I've already been signed on to do another movie with the same production company. So it'll be good. So
now you've arrived now. You've already done an independent film now. Life is good.
It's the same. Actually, it was a lot better before Saturday when we had the premiere. So
there you go.
But we won't get into that. But Me Familiar 2, Joe Seminary, the director. It's a long line of mob-style movies. And like I said, I play a bodyguard. And I have some good scenes in it. And I'm not going to give it away, but for those who ever wanted me dead, watch the movie.
You get to see it now.
The closest you're going to get to seeing it.
That's it.
All right? I don't mean to be a wise guy. I needed to end on a happy note. So anyway, thanks for tuning in tonight. And for those of you who catch it on demand during the week, enjoy. We're going to have some fun with it, with today's show. And any past shows that we have, catch us on demand. So, and it's free. There's not a lot of free things. Our on demand is free. Anything else, my friend?
I think that's it.
It's all good. So
be safe, have fun, buy safety gear.
And thank everybody for tuning in.
Enjoy your season out. Everything's getting loosened up. We're getting back to racing. It's all good.
And this COVID nonsense is just about over. The people who are in the seats, put on a good show because they're coming to see you.
That's right.
Have a good week, folks.
Take care.
Inravio.com.